And South Korea and Mexico conclude the second round of pool play at the 2018 Russia World Cup on Saturday at 3 p.m. That is GMT and 5 p.m. Central African time. And the Koreans, the 57th ranked team by FIFA, also need a win on Saturday before facing Germany in their final pool match. Now, the Korean Republic needs a confidence boost of their own, having gone goalless in their last 3 games, including a very disappointing attacking display against Sweden, and they've been winless in their last 7 world final matches. With us now is Bruce Harrison out in Seoul. Bruce, let's talk about this ranking. Being ranked 57th in the world is not really, one of the best rankings, but it's not the strongest team in football. But let's look at the reality of their stay within this World Cup. How far can you predict them to go? Do they have the quality strikers that will turn those chances into goals?
I think they do, and I think Mexico knows that as well, and they're not going to sit back and rest just because they got a big win over Germany, and they're sitting atop Group F. The Koreans are a feisty bunch, and I think they're going to see some changes. They were in a 4-3-3 setup as far as play in Sweden, and they didn't get a lot of shots on goal. They may switch that up, maybe back to their usual 4-2-2 lineup. And I think they're going to rely on their ace, Son Heung-min. He played a very team-oriented game, I guess you could say. He sat back a little bit as well, but I think they're going to push him to be the striker that he is. And I think there may be a lot more aggression out of their star player, perhaps the best player in Asia right now.
Absolutely. Speaking of that Tottenham striker there, Bruce, as you've just mentioned, Son Heung-min. Besides them, do you see any other players in this team that can deliver?
Oh, of course. I think the midfield is very strong, and the defense has played a crucial role in keeping South Korea in the hunt so far. There's only been 1 game, but they only lost by a single goal to Sweden, and that was on a penalty that South Koreans, frankly, are pretty unhappy with. A lot said that was a clean attack in the box against Sweden, but the play went the other way for them. But I think they're going to rely heavily on their defense just to keep the defense will pick up a lot of the slack, and they're going to push hard. They're going to lean hard on Son to ultimately make the difference in this game. It's not going to be easy, though. And it's interesting to note, the last time in South Korea and Mexico played was 1998. And Mexico won that game, and it was a close one until the 75th minute when Mexico finally took on, and there was no looking back. But I think they're reflecting on that. It's a bit of a grudge match in that sense, and the Koreans are fighters.
And of course, Bruce, do tell us, we're observing that rally that was taking place earlier on. I'm not sure if you're in a different location altogether, but it has since quietened down. Just take us through that rally once again. Maybe we can hear you properly this time. What actually inspired that rally?
Sure. Well, that was an anti-government rally. Those protesters, and they weren't expected to come out in such large number today, were demonstrating against President Moon Jae-in and his government. They're supporters of the former South Korean president, Park Geun-hye, who was impeached and removed from office and now in jail because of a corruption scandal. Millions of dollars that she illicitly gained through a close confidant. It was a major scandal in South Korea, but her supporters are very loyal, and that was the noise we heard earlier. They came out perhaps in the thousands today, and they were circling this plaza, upsetting a bit, I think, some of the Red Devils soccer fans, but they have now passed, and the focus is back on sport. And we're looking forward to the game. It's still a number of hours off. But this is Gwanghwamun Square. It is always full of protest, varying in size. Today was a large one. Millions were reported to come out here over the months leading up to President Park's impeachment. On one weekend in particular, there was reportedly over 1 million people here. It was an incredible sight. Today it's a sea of red. Back then it was candlelight rallies. But it's a different era right now under President Moon Jae-in. One of peace, and I think that's helping with the environment today.
Absolutely. Let's go back to the game, Bruce. You mentioned that they've changed their attack now to a 4-3-3 strategy. The coach must be under immense pressure. You've gone goalless in the last 7 world final matches, and you haven't made anything of that. Let's look at the Germany match. Do they stand any chance? Germany is a very strong team with basically a star-studded team, so to say.
I think it's interesting. I mean, I would have been inclined to say perhaps they don't stand a chance, but after the loss to Mexico, I think we've seen some holes in the German defense in particular. And I think South Korea could exploit that. But I think right now they're going to focus on the Mexico match. And technically, if they lose this match to Mexico, they're not out based on the numbers. But it's going to be a very, very hard road if they don't top Mexico. And it's hard to say that they could take down the reigning world champions. But we're going to learn a lot tonight based on what Coach Tay unveils in his strategy tonight. They went goalless, like I said, under that 4-3-3 switch.
Yes.
And we'll see if they go back to the traditional lineup and see if we can get some goals from Ace Sung Hong Min. Check back later if on the internet, or if viewers are watching. This place is going to be rowdy, and there'll be live streams, I believe. This entire place will be a sea of red. It's going to be an incredible show tonight. And Bruce, passionate fans here in Gwanghwamun Square in Seoul.
All right, and Bruce, just as a parting note, have you seen Moon Jae-in? Do you know if he's going to be part of the proceedings there? Is he going to be there to usher his team on?
Oh, I'm sure. President Moon has spoken about the team. I don't know if he's going to make an appearance. He's been traveling. He was up visiting President Putin in Russia, actually, where the World Cup is being hosted. He sent some love from there. I'd be surprised if I saw President Moon out here tonight. I've seen him in this square before, actually, when he won the presidency last year. A big rally then. Like I said, Gwanghwamun Square, it's always full of surprises. Today, a football rally. About an hour ago, some noisy protesters.
All right, and Bruce, in terms of support, I mean, I see that there's a sea of red, as you alluded to earlier on. You were thinking the Red Devils supporters there, but we know that South Korea, well, Korea is not a huge soccer nation. In terms of support in actual numbers that have come out and showed up in the fan parks, do you see a huge support, and that Koreans are slowly getting inclined into world football?
I definitely think every year we're seeing more engagement from South Koreans with FIFA and world football. I do. We're not seeing the numbers out here tonight like we did in 2002 when South Korea jointly hosted the World Cup with Japan. But I mean, during the first match against Sweden, there was tens of thousands throughout this entire district between City Hall and Gwanghwamun Square, the plaza I'm in now. And those are pretty striking numbers for a country, like you said, that's not known as a world soccer powerhouse. Koreans are a very proud people, and in some senses it's an insular but an homogenous society. Anytime the country is on the world stage, they come out in support, no matter what it is. And right now it happens to be world football. But with players like Sung Hong Min, I think we will see more engagement because they love seeing him abroad. They love seeing him succeed. It brings them great joy. And his father actually runs a very, very private and unique soccer football camp. And I think young Koreans are looking at Son, his father's school, and other players that have made it abroad and aspiring to be just like them. Baseball is still #1 here, but soccer is becoming more popular, no doubt about it.
All right, and Bruce, on a real parting shot now. Let's get your predictions of this group. Who do you see on top and going through to the next round?
Well, I don't want to get in trouble here.
I'm putting you on the spot.
If you can't, just off camera, there's a bunch of South Korean police. Yes, if you can't tell, there's a lot of South Korean fans here right now. Hey, don't count the Koreans out. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw them squeaking into the next round, but it's going to be very hard. You want my honest prediction? Germany's going to top the group, and then after that, it's hard to say.
Bruce, you know what? I'm going to hold you to that. I'm actually going to go and prepare to watch that game between Mexico later on today. It's happening at 3 o'clock. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead and enjoy. I see you are in the middle of the fan park there. And of course, hopefully, you'll be rooting for the Korean team. That is Bruce Harrison joining us live from Seoul there, where South Korea is to go up against Mexico in that group encounter, with the last one being Germany in their final match pool. Well, Bruce says that the Koreans, we shouldn't totally count them out. They might just surprise us and make it through to the next round. That has